Do I have to say it again?
Oh.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
You're the Juggernaut, bitch. Well, you say that, but there is a deleted scene where he runs through the wall and Kitty Pryde is holding on to Jimmy and Juggernaut emerges and he says, "Here's Juggy." Which makes me think, if that is the one they deleted, what are some outtakes that they would have probably considered? What do you think? Would I here, there be jugs? What? Here's really?
I'm gonna make you a Juggernaut you can't refuse. I don't know.
Just sounded like a Borat voice.
I love the smell of Juggernaut in the morning.
I love the smell of Jugger in the morning.
You got enough D going?
Good. Yeah.
I have to check my OneNote app.
OneNote.
Podcast brought to you by... No, it's not.
OneNote, we're happy if you'd like to sponsor us. Bill.
Just OneNote, not Microsoft or anything like that.
No.
Just OneNote.
Just OneNote.
Yeah, because I use OneNote a lot.
Hey, is it this
it's really
one?
good.
Cancelled.
Yeah, I'm about to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready to?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. What is up?
Hey.
We've just spent way too long messing with audio stuff.
Yeah.
And the sad part is that it's probably going to sound
exactly
just as lame. Welcome to the low ceiling. I'm John.
Pri. Oh,
Fucking
fuck.
Christ.
Okay, here we do it again.
I'm John.
And I'm Pri.
And today we're talking about not X1,
No.
not X2, because they don't qualify. We're talking about X-Men 3, The Last Stand.
It's more like a wah, wah. Yeah.
Oh, all of my X-Men died. Oops.
Oh, spoilers.
X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Without looking at my notes, 2006?
That's
2006 film, directed by Brett Ratner.
The B word that we don't want to talk about.
The big bad B word, Brett Ratner.
Brett
taking over from the other big bad B word,
Brian Singer.
BS Brian Singdog. Singer. Yeah, hard to talk about these movies without acknowledging that both of these men have been accused of sexual harassment at the very least.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to come up a little bit. We don't want to spend too much time on it.
No.
I want to talk more about Bryan Singer than I would about Brett Ratner.
Okay.
Because it's kind of hard to deny that Bryan Singer was a good director.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you watch The Usual Suspects or X1 or X2.
Yeah.
Bryan Singer was a talented director. I don't want to say a shame. It's just he was a good director and he did a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Allegedly. He has been accused of a lot of bad things. And you can read more about it in The Atlantic or Vox or any of these media outlets have done great coverage on it. And it's too bad these movies are kind of tainted by that. However, the X trilogy is...
The word... taint itself, really. I don't think these two men could have done anything to save X3. If anything, them being a part of it has made it so much worse.
Are you sure that you want to get in that argument? Because I think they could have done a lot to save this movie. I think before we get into the plot, we're going to get into the plot in just a second. But here is my main thesis about this film.
Yeah.
There is specifically one moment in it in which the plot diverges, careens off a cliff into shittiness in a way where you're just like, why didn't they just take the road that would have worked?
Yeah.
and I'll talk about it later. Maybe you have that. Do you have that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly the point that I checked out in the film.
Okay, let's get into the plot and we can talk about to we'll get in. We'll see if we're in agreement. Of
Perfect.
That. So, just a recap of X1 and X2. There's mutants. Anyway, so X3, X2 ends on a cliffhanger. Jean Grey has died in a flood from a dam, but she's obviously gonna phoenix it up, rise from the lake. That's all. That's really all you need to know.
That's it
about this. So X3 opens with Xavier and Magneto visiting a young Jean Grey who can lift cars up with her mind because she is one of the most powerful mutants alive. Basically, they bring her into the school. Xavier blocks all her mind powers so that she doesn't know how powerful she is, right?
Yeah.
Although that's revealed a little later. And then there's a really stupid scene where they're in a simulation and Logan cuts off a guy's head. It's really boring. And then essentially like the plot starts rolling when Scott Cyclops heads out to the lake to cry over the death of Jean Grey. And then Jean's there.
Yeah.
Jean's there looking hotter than ever. Just
That's
incredible
right.
red hair. It's grown about a foot.
Yeah. It's Phoenix hair. So,
Famke Janssen. Really, just a little different. This is like, she's a very beautiful woman. This is her most beautiful, like just stunning
100%.
film. She's so mesmerizing, just her looks. Jeez.
Do you want a second?
Yeah.
I'll just leave.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. I'm looking at Famke on the computer across the room.
Yeah.
So Jean Grey arrives and then she hugs Scott, but there's something wrong with her fucking eyes and you can tell this is not good. Cut to
she's Irish now.
Yeah, we're doing a really bad. There's some plot we missed here.
Yeah.
A young child tries to cut his own angel wings off.
Yes.
Oh man, can I also? Sorry, I was gonna bring up one thing. The plot starts with this flashback towards Jean Grey's family, and then it's like, it cuts to this angel child thing.
Yeah.
And it's like 10 years ago. 10 years from when? The present, or the 80s, when Jean Grey was a young girl. What do you mean 10 years ago? What do you mean?
That's right, because it's a flashback and a flashback?
Well, it starts on a flashback.
Okay, yeah.
So is, spoiler alert, Ben Foster, he's not older than Jean Grey.
No.
So it was such, it's a weird, I did a double take on that the second time I watched this movie. So the young Angel Boy's father, he figures in later because he's come up with essentially a cure for... As they always do in the X-Men, there's always like, it's always about like, can we stop the X-Men from being the X-Men? It's so lame. The world hasn't, like they got to get over it and just accept them, which is kind of the theme of the entire thing. But like, anyway.
Can I just say that the opening scene when a bold de-aging technology for young Charles Xavier.
He looks like
young Magneto.
He looks like a CGI of like a sex doll.
Still, both of them look better than Robert De Niro in The Irishman. So I was very proud of this equal opportunity grandpa representation. Okay, geriatric team.
I won't stand for the slander of.
But more egregious than that, and we've already seen the whole process of how X-Men get recruited in X-Men 1. X-Men 2, these X-babies, they go into their homes, they scoop them up from their parents, and then welcome to join.
They don't like kidnap them though. You're making it seem
sure.
like
No. They
bring them to school.
Yeah, they welcome them home.
Yeah.
Into their great big mahogany school building. Great. Before he enters, though, Charles looks to Magneto and he says, "Well, Eric, you of all people should know." Absolute power can corrupt or whatever. And then what does he mean, you of all people? Is he throwing it back at the Holocaust reference because Magneto is a survivor? Was it again
yes.
a whole every 5 minutes they're like, hey guys, I know the movie just started, but remember Holocaust.
Well, yeah, to be fair, it's about 6 years. It's about 6 years after X1. So it's like in real time, like, I mean, like the movies. So I'm sure like people have kind of maybe have been like, oh yeah, he was, the Holocaust is his like defining
correct
backstory.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is why, well, like Magneto asks him, like, why am I here? Like, what am I gonna do here? And then Charles has to be like, every 5 minutes, but Eric.
Remember the Holocaust?
Remember
And he's
the
like,
Holocaust,
yeah,
Eric?
it's a pretty prominent in my mind, bro. It's a little expository, yes. I mean, you know that I also read, speaking of Bryan Singer and how cool he is, he was the one who pushed to start X1 with the Holocaust, because the studio would have
interesting.
never really done that, because it's, I don't know if you know a lot about the Holocaust, but it's pretty heavy. And
Yeah, that's the.
the studio
of the book.
was like, no,
Nah.
X-Men are goofy, but Bryan Singer wanted to bring it to this like level of seriousness.
Yeah.
And then probably like had Vicodin and
Did
left the
couple
set
of
for
not
4
great
days.
things.
Yeah. Rough story, rough happenings with that
Oy.
fellow.
Anyway, the main premise really is that the government has these conversion camps for mutants, right? It's a whole bag of like gay therapy analogy, really, isn't it? If you take your injection, you go from being mutant to normal.
So they create this demutinizing serum.
Yeah.
They create it out of a mutant who can disrupt the powers of other mutants, and his mutant name should be Red Herring, because he's just like a little boy sitting in a prison.
Yes.
A very notable prison, which maybe we'll talk about later, because it's a stupid place to have a like. Sorry, I'm going to get into it in a bit. Okay, so Gene, but here is what we're kind of bumping up against. What doesn't work about this story?
Mm-hmm.
These two competing narratives, demutinization
Mm-hmm.
and Jean Grey,
Yeah.
start to diverge at some point. Now, back to Jean Grey. Logan and Storm, Halle Berry, and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
They head out to the lake and they find Jean Grey there. No Scott. Scott is gone. They find his floating glasses
His
amongst
stupid
the wreckage.
fucking Oakley ass glasses that should
Yep.
just be dyed to death. Sorry, I don't know why I'm triggered by his dumb glass. I'm not a Scott fan. I've just never been.
We'll get into it. So they bring Jean Grey back. Xavier expresses that like, yo, she is hella powerful. So we tried to block it, but now it's been unleashed and stuff. And then we get to this scene where Logan, Jean Grey tries to seduce Logan very, very viciously, tries to seduce Logan.
Yeah.
And then
There's a word for that, but that's what she does to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Logan says like, no, I don't want to. And then Jean Grey basically, she remembers that she killed Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And then she doesn't want to kill again because she's out of control. And then she asks Logan to kill her. Logan says he won't. And then Jean Grey pretty much goes all Exorcist and bursts out of the whole place and escapes.
Yeah.
Goes back to her home. Xavier, Logan, Storm go to confront her, only to find Magneto and his new buddies. We're going to get into that scene a little bit detail about how Magneto makes new friends. Have found her as well. It's kind of a replay of when they found her when she was a young child. They go in, they try to bring her back, and Jean Grey rips the skin off of Charles Xavier, and Magneto takes her, absconds with Jean Grey away into the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, this mutant serum is happening, and it's like, hey, it's ready. Mutants can stop using their powers, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
With Xavier's death, they talk about closing the school, but they're not going to do that. And then Magneto, essentially, his plan is to go kill this kid who the serum is based on, because he doesn't want mutants to be able to do that. He thinks it's wrong. He's a mutant supremacist a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other real word for it. And then there's a bunch of set pieces with very little plot value, in my opinion, leading up to a massive showdown on Alcatraz Island, where the important things that happen here are that Kitty Pryde, played by Elliot Page, rescues the child, and Ben Foster swoops in with his new wings and rescues them. The child is not killed. Magneto loses his powers because he gets shot with a dart, which is the irony of all ironies.
Yeah.
The mutants slug it out, and then the army gets involved, and then Jean Grey squishes their little heads and goes mental and basically shows why she's so dangerous.
Yeah.
And then Logan stabs her, and that's the end of it, basically. And so we leave the school a little bit in tatters, but it looks like Logan's probably going to take over again. Xavier, Scott, and Jean Grey are all dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we pull out two, I have to admit, a very good ending with Magneto sitting alone at a bench playing chess.
Yeah.
And you see him poke the pawn or the king with
Mm-hmm.
his diminished power.
That's right.
He's still got a little magnetism up in those fingers. And he's poking that little chess piece. I really like that ending.
Yeah.
Because even though that trilogy sort of ends there, it's one of those endings where it's like, ooh, it could carry on, but I'm happy they never made a sequel.
Well,
They kind of did, but you know what I mean, right?
did you catch the post credit also for Mr. Professor Xavier?
And no,
So-
I don't believe in post credit scenes, and I think any movie that uses them it should be burned.
That's just a
Yeah.
goofy take, sir.
I think any movie that uses them should be shot with the mutant dart.
Every movie should have at least 5 post credits if they want me to sit through these credits. I know you spoke about Magneto and how they show that he still has a possibility of working on his powers because he moves a chess piece with his magic fingers. Later on in one of the
Magic
cutscenes,
fingers.
you see Dr. McTaggart looking over a body of a person. And then she steps back and exclaims, Charles? So,
Oh, I've never seen it.
okay, so now I'll say 2 things. One, I love the Phoenix Saga comics. I think it's a great arc. It should just deserve all the films, but so far, they've all shit the bed. Obviously, there's a lot of potential. It just hasn't hit the mark, right? The second thing is, in the comics, Charles Xavier has a twin brother who is brain dead. Because you just got to have one of those laying around if you're going to want to return triumphantly from having your body obliterated. So what happens really is that he wakes up in his twin brother's body at the end of the film. And that is where they set up as a whole, the power couple,
The
Mr. Magneto and the
Xavier-
X.
The Xavier multiverse.
That's exactly it.
Can I, your first point that you just said
Mm-hmm.
about the movies shitting the bed, can we riff on that for a second? Because
Totally.
I did have a question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
To set this up. So I rewatched X1, X2, X3. I hadn't seen X1 and X2 in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked them. Not like I said to you that. So I rewatched all the Spider-Man films earlier this year, and confession, not a big superhero fan at all, as you know, not really. But I did give the Spider-Man ones a chance. And while I hated the Tom Holland era, I didn't care for the Andrew Garfield one.
What are these takes? Yeah.
I didn't care for the Andrew Garfield one very much at all. And honestly, I don't really like the Tobey Maguire ones, the Maguire mans that much.
Maguireverse?
I think they're just fine.
Yeah.
I get that Jesus, I can't fucking talk. Sam Raimi is a legendary director who's made some incredible movies, but I just I was like, as I said to you, I was like, I think Spider-Man 1 is not very good. I think Spider-Man 2 is fine, and I don't see what is so bad about 3 in comparison to 1. Which I know
Such an opposite
this might be the
take.
last episode because someone is going to burn me at the stake for
Yeah,
saying
dude.
that. So X1 and X2 I think are really quite good. I'm a big, of all the superhero stuff I care about, X-Men's probably the one that I identify the most with because, and I was talking to recently with someone about this, that the thing I love about them is that they are about the downsides of the powers almost as much as they are about being a superhero.
Sure.
My question to you is,
Mm-hmm.
like the Spider-Man franchise, I once thought that the Spider-Man franchise was basically cursed until Tom Holland came along and revived it. Marvel, the MCU, all of that stuff. They did revive it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether I like them or not. Is the X-Men franchise cursed? And the reason I ask is this. There's some of these movies that are so good in this franchise, like Logan,
Yeah.
X2,
Excellent.
X1.
Yeah.
I like First Class. I like Days of Future Past, though they're not incredible by any stretch. They're good. Then there's some garbage, just bottom of the barrel, like eating gutter trash.
Yeah.
Terrible films. I think the only one I haven't seen the Wolverine Origins ones, even though I heard one is bad and one is good. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix because I heard that was like if I saw it.
So that's what I mean. Like they have this incredible story arc for our sweet Jean, who is obviously a powerful mutant. They took 2 shots at making these films for her. One with Sansa from Game of Thrones, and then one with Famke Janssen. Now, both just it's been hard to watch, man.
You know what's wild about that too?
Mm.
The same guy took 2 shots at the Dark Phoenix story and couldn't get either of them right.
Just
Simon Kinberg, who wrote at least part of X3,
mm-hmm.
and he said in later years he wanted to take it in the Dark Phoenix direction. He ended up writing and directing Dark Phoenix. So, I mean, good on him. Simon Kinberg is a very successful writer, whether you like him or not. Good on him for getting a chance to redo it. And it's a shame that movie was derided. I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
and I can't really speak to its quality, but I like most of what I heard about it was like, oof, ouch.
What's hard about that is that I've seen that film 3 times, and each time I was on an airplane. So it's not, where do I go? I can't, I mean, I know I could change it to a different movie, but no, I'm too invested now. And every time, like a insane person, I hope that I'll find something new and lovable, and I don't. So
Yeah.
I'm dead inside. But back to this movie.
Well, is the X-Men franchise cursed?
No, I think it just thrived in its time, and it did great. I know that I feel like the Marvel franchise is now cursed because after Phase 4, it's just been bags of burning shit. So
I think you can get like having like a 25 film run of like pretty decent movies that people like that make billions of dollars.
Right.
I think that it's like, well, yeah, maybe a curse. Maybe it's time to rebuild the team. But
let's set it down.
Like it is a little bit like it's a little bit like the team complaining because they haven't won the championship 2 years in a row, when it's like, oh yeah, but you won the 14 last ones before that, so maybe you should just be happy.
Totally.
Like,
It's like the rewatchability of X1 and X2 versus Avengers 1 and Avengers 2 or something, right? It's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, after they've been made, I feel like I would still go back to the X-Men more than I would go back to the Avengers.
Why do you think that is?
Nostalgia. I was also very
Really?
young when I saw it. And then growing up reading comics too for the X-Men universe especially. So, yeah. For me, I think nostalgia would win out.
I have an opinion on why it is for you. Let me talk for you for a second here.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, let me tell you
How you feel.
what you feel about these movies. No, my thought about them is this, which I noticed this time around. Again, okay, so like I said, X-Men is very concerned with the powers are also kind of a curse. Mm-hmm. And there's no better representation of that than Rogue. Rogue is, I know you don't like Anna Paquin's face, and it's not her fault.
It's not her fault. I'm just a
Anna Paquin
person.
is a good actor.
Yes.
Rogue is probably the most interesting character to me in like the superhero canon. Mm-hmm. She has her powers are really cool, but they're so obviously isolating to her.
Yeah.
And one of the issues with X3 is that Rogue, among many other characters, just gets cut, sliced off of screen. Whereas if you're watching X1, you're like, hey, is Rogue the main character? Kinda.
Yeah.
Her and Logan, kinda.
Yeah. So,
and the reason I think that these are more rewatchable is they have like a personal and emotional element to them that people really can relate to.
Really
That's not just about like, I don't know. I think the themes are slightly more interesting and mature than many like the MCU kind of stuff, which I find a little short on that regard.
Totally.
Spectacle, entertainment, whatever. But like I find the X-Men, I don't know, it's very interesting. I find that stuff really interesting. Yeah.
X3 is definitely gimmick heavy, like almost devoid of human emotion, if anything, right? The whole fact that what makes Rogue interesting is that she wants so badly to be human to touch someone, is that she would rather forego this shitty power that's useful to others, but not so much to herself. All of that, like you said, is in X1 and X2. In X3, ultimately, she gives up her power, right? She takes the injection. She just goes back to being human for whatever time that lasts. But X3 is a lot like the Expendables or some shit, man.
X3 was I thought like a sign of things to come for superhero films,
Yeah.
So much as like as companion pieces to say like the Dark Knight franchise, the Christopher Nolan Batmans and things like that. But it reminds me of what I think when I see ads for new superhero movies today. And X3 is like the biggest problem with X3 is they forego character arc completion. Like the characters don't get a chance to finish what they started, because they cut them off screen and are just like more mutants, different ones.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Vince, what's his face? The Juggernaut, bitch.
Juggernaut.
Yeah. and
Vinny.
but the problem, Vinny Jones.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is that it's just like, yeah, but we want to see these characters. We want something to happen to them. And it made me think that I was like, man, if I could go back in time and if I knew what the ending, if I knew what X3 was going to be, at the end of X2, you know what should have happened? Rogue should have died.
Yes.
And it makes sense because she could have
Definitely.
gone out, she could have gone outside, she could have grabbed Jean Grey's hand, they could have stopped the big flood together because Rogue can use Jean Grey's powers, and then they die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Rogue she's cast aside in this movie, which I've already mentioned, which is frustrating as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I found? Another character who I found really frustrating that they got cast aside? Mystique.
Oh,
Mystique she's basically Magneto's
yeah.
love.
Yes.
And she gets shot with a dart, and then Magneto's like,
drops her like a fucking hot plate in 1 second.
I got the Juggernaut here.
Yeah.
He can Juggernaut me until I'm lifeless. And I don't need you anymore, Mystique. And the other silly, I mean, this is a minor detail, and I'm starting to sound like a real comic book nerd, but it's kind of silly that Mystique gets shot with a dart, takes away her mutant powers, and she turns into a human. Mystique's not a human. Mystique is normally blue with red hair. She would have just stayed the same. She wouldn't look like a human. It's the same with Beast.
That's right.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Her Mystique's power isn't being blue and scaly. She looks like that normally.
That's right. Why would she transform into... But then was she born? Yeah, she was. Oh my God.
She's born like that.
That's right.
I
so
looked
that
it
was
up.
just a lot of fan service
And-
for her booty.
I mean, she's the model. I forgot her name, but she's
Ramona?
good Mystique. Good Mystique.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what? I think she's a little like, she's a good Mystique who you kind of forget that she's quite good in the role because Jennifer Lawrence was a great Mystique.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one really frustrated me on the second watch. I was like, this makes no sense at all.
No.
Ugh.
It was and this is like coming after having seen the Fassbender version of how much he loved, but like obviously those movies come later on. Yeah, it was heartbreaking at how fast and how comically Magneto was like, "Aight, bitch, later." And he dips out.
So many characters really get the short end of the stick.
But
Storm,
yeah,
Cyclops, Mystique, and Rogue all just get fucking effed in the A.
all the number one X's just booted.
You know what's silly too? I read a little like tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
Halle Berry wins an Oscar for Monsters Ball,
Sure.
and they rewrite X2 to be like Halle Berry needs more screen time because she is the biggest actress in the world.
Oh, could have fooled
So,
me.
well, that's X2.
Oh, okay,
not
okay,
3.
okay. Right.
However, if you rewatch X2, you're like, wait, this is more screen time for Halle. She has like 3 lines, man.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
You know, I think it might have been a contractual thing where she has to show up, but now that serious actor Halle Berry, after Catwoman fame, was like, I got my Oscar, but I'll do this, goofy spinning around in the wind thing.
Yeah. It's,
Sorry, Hallie.
And the other problem is, despite bringing in Vinnie Jones, the Juggernaut bitch,
Yes, right.
Elliot Page, who good Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Glad that they come back later in Days of Future Past. But also, oh my god, she's in The Sopranos. She plays Blanca. Danya something, the actress. She's the girl, the woman with the tattoo,
right,
and the piercing.
Yeah.
Ken Leung,
Eric from Industry.
That's
right.
He can shoot spikes
Mr.
out of his
Rush
face
Hour
and
himself.
just crush trades on the market. Like, despite all of those kind of bit parts coming in and being like, oh, neat, it just doesn't have the impact. Because,
No.
like, so you're sidelining James Marsden, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, and, you know, the model who plays Mystique.
That's right.
But, you know, like, it's a real shame because they just don't have the screen time to be memorable.
No.
Yeah.
And I normally I enjoy it when comic book movies just try to make up new things or something that so a fan wouldn't know, or something that's to delight and surprise. One of those things that did the total opposite of this is the whole levels of X-Men. Oh, they're a level 3 or a level 4. It's in no other X-Men movie, never been talked about, never written about, and now randomly we're organizing a power structure for Jean, who's a level 5, even more so than Magneto and Charles himself.
Yeah, she's like, but I did read in like the Marvel lore, she's an Omega level, but they don't say like level 5.
There's no numerical association, is what I'm saying.
There is no like other. There is no
Yeah.
levels. There's just
No.
like Omega is like, oh, these people are, and
Like a Titan, right?
a little,
Like you
yeah.
give them, you do it in a way that makes sense for a goofy comic world instead of being like, yo, you 1, 2, 3, or 4. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
I
killing me.
always feel bad for like Magneto that I love as a character.
Yeah.
But he's just like, I can fuck with this metal. And then Xavier's like, I can fuck with literally everything.
Yeah.
I can move anything I want.
Well, Magneto can fuck with people. Like in your blood, there's iron, so he's able to.
The iron guy needed to get an extra iron shot.
That's
okay?
true. Yeah. I mean, Magneto's got a whole bridge to carry to Alcatraz, so give the man a break.
That is the stupidest. That scene is like the biggest example of spectacle over character, because it is like, it's just like, who cares? Also, take a boat. Or fucking rip a little disc of metal and float across with all your buddies on it. Like, Magneto could do anything.
That's what he
in
did,
that
though.
situation. No, like but he doesn't have to like do that to all of the people on the bridge.
Of course he does, because
no, it's so insane. It's so over the top.
Yeah, because he's just a loud guy. Well,
He
he's
also-
almost never been anti-human in that way. But now that the world supposedly is anti-mutant, it's a us versus them. So he sees them as nothing more than collateral damage. Those people might as well be, cement. It doesn't matter. Step all over these bitches. Get to Alcatraz. I'm with you, sir. So
It's a hell of a commute.
You're not going to want to bubble this shit.
The
Yeah.
mutant ripped the bridge out again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to Sausalito.
That's right. Dear.
Soyalito.
Honey, I can't make it over
Trying to
there.
get to Vallejo.
Okay, this is made up names.
I'm just naming. No, that's what the Bay Area is like. It's like,
Oh, shit.
someone fucking made. Who made that up? Some
Yeah, someone made
drunk
that up.
guy.
Ay.
That's yeah. So the other thing, I mean, like, do the filmmakers know that Alcatraz isn't a prison? It's a tourist attraction. It was a prison.
Yeah.
It's on an island. But it's just like, do they know that it's? Why would the government keep like? It's like, this is our most prized asset at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's keep them on Alcatraz. It's like, there's so many other better places
Totally.
to.
I know that the
Although what's her face can just find him, so that's very convenient to the plot.
yeah, she could look to
She's
his
like,
face. Just squint
he's
real
over
hard.
there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
When I know the U.S. military is worth at least a couple dollars, right? Like what? They got like a couple of billies, a couple of guns.
Yeah.
You're telling me they're gonna have a mutant uprising on their hand, and they're just got like, all right, John and his crew of 20 soldiers, sort them out.
Well, I actually have to say it does make sense because they can't send in tanks or planes because Magneto will magnete them. You know,
Oh.
and all of the foot soldiers have plastic weapons.
Good thing the whole building was made of plastic then.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. It was still metal.
It's wild to think too that like the plastic weapons don't explode upon being one-time use. And the other thing too, again, so here, let me lay this is like let me go back to the big plot issue with X3. So Simon Kinberg wants to do the Dark Phoenix story, basically, right? But the studio doesn't want that. So they diverge a little bit. And when Jean Grey tries to seduce Logan and asks him to kill her, that is the best scene in the film.
Yes.
I think that's by far, that's like, to me, that I was like, this is X1, X2 vintage style stuff.
Yes.
And then the scene after where Xavier dies, great.
Beautiful.
And then the movie diverges from there. That is where it ceases to be a movie about Jean Grey, which is the problem. Jean Grey is the villain, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you come down to the Alcatraz of it all, why is she there? There's no she doesn't express her motivation.
Nope.
She just stands there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can just rip everyone's head apart with your mind.
Well, she's someone who's fueled by desire in the moment, right? So maybe for a lot of those moments, she's like, I'm hanging out.
It's a real shame.
Yeah.
Because I actually think Famke, her performance is really good.
Agreed, yeah.
And Hugh Jackman's in relation to her is really good. And that's like the story I want. That's the story I want to know more about. And it sucks because it's like you're wasting these two really good actors who are performing at their best in these films.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know, it's so frustrating. You know, is that the plot point you
checked
thought
out at?
Yeah.
Oh, I checked out when there were opening scene walking into baby Jean's house and they were like, hello, Charles. Hello, Eric. Do you remember the Holocaust? In not so many words. I was like, all right, I am so out already. But yeah. No, no, go on.
I just have one word for it. It's clunky. It's clunky.
It's a generous word for it.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about. Well, okay, let's talk about Scott for 1 second because I mentioned how much I hate him early on in the movie, and it's not even because of James Marsden. He's fine. Okay?
I like James Marsden.
He did a good cowboy in Westworld. Keep it up. He's like the ghostwriter of this movie, man, with his stupid bike and his dumbass Oakleys. Just a waste of space. Oh, cool, bro. Close your eyes for another second. Maybe that'll save your life. So early on, Jean Grey comes out of the water, obliterates everything, comes back to life, tries to obliterate the main Professor X. Why doesn't all of the X-Force or whoever, the rest of the X-Men people come down? Why do two people go to contain this level 5 bad bitch between themselves? Anyway, forget the plot holes.
I don't think that they knew she was there.
No, but didn't they went there knowing full well that
Xavier felt like a disturbance in the Force, kind of. I don't think he knew what it was, though.
I think 100% they knew, and that's why he's like, I'm gonna take two of my best, weather lady, and then guy with 3 nipples. So
the weather lady.
Yeah, what's up? That's all she is. She might as well look up and be like, oh, I'm not in a good mood. Thanks, Aurora. Fucking hell.
If she ever wants to change careers from a teacher, she could be a great meteorologist.
Yeah. Yeah. Join the Watchmen universe. It'd be more useful there.
She'd be like, Aurora, you were wrong yesterday. And then her eyes go away and she's like, it's snowing now. What?
What, bitch?
Yeah.
You say something?
Drops the mic.
Oh my God. I know you said like there are some really pivotal scenes that were moving. Obviously, Charles's death, great. But there's one scene which is deleted, regrettably, which I don't even know if you maybe saw somewhere as a spoiler. But when Juggernaut goes into the prison chases Kitty through the walls.
Do I have to say it again?
Oh.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
You're the Juggernaut, bitch. Well, you say that, but there is a deleted scene where he runs through the wall and Kitty Pryde is holding on to Jimmy and Juggernaut emerges and he says, "Here's Juggy." Which makes me think, if that is the one they deleted, what are some outtakes that they would have probably considered? What do you think? Would like here, there be jugs? What? Here's really?
I'm gonna make you a Juggernaut you can't refuse. I don't know.
Just sounded like a Borat voice.
I love the smell of Juggernaut in the morning.
I love the smell of Jugger in the morning. Oh, he's. I mean, obviously, who's that guy who did Layer Cake and Snatch and Matthew Vaughn?
Yeah, you mean the guy who directed X-Men First Class?
Yes, First Class. Thank you.
Matthew Vaughn.
So obviously he's a big
He didn't
Vinny
do
fan.
Snatch. That was Guy Ritchie.
Oh, maybe he was
Matthew Vaughn.
Guy.
I think Matthew Vaughn wrote some. I don't know.
Either way, big Vinnie Jones proponent.
Yeah.
Brought him in, gave him all the best lines.
Matthew Vaughn was going to direct The Last Stand, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And then obviously they went with the Rat Pack.
Yeah. BR.
BR.
Big rat.
Number one rat.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
If you could be an X-Man, what power would you want?
I don't know. I have never really thought of that. They're also seemingly random, but also very specific.
Yeah, to their own universes.
Like it's like a mutation. Like it's a mutation of their genes, but but then like Ben Foster just happens to look like an angel.
Yeah.
And it's like, do the genes like, I don't know. It's weird. Like it's, unfortunately, it's kind of like cinematically, there's one thing I dislike about the X-Men is the way that it's a little bit like picking spells in Dungeons and Dragons kind of, it's so specific.
Yeah.
And the ones that are the most interesting, the one of the reasons I vamped about Rogue, like I love Rogue as an idea of a character, and I would love to see a movie based entirely around that character.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to cast Anna Paquin when you sign on as director, but Jean Grey is another one, because like Jean Grey I find really interesting because I like when like characters are unstoppable in a way.
Like a Juggernaut, you might say.
The Juggernaut is stoppable because he runs into a wall.
Well, only because of the mutation guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
All right.
He did it. But the idea that like Jean Grey is unstoppable even to like people who are pretty powerful, and I like that idea because it's like, what do you do? What are the stakes then if this is what you're up against? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really like that. As for myself, I don't know. I really had never really thought about it. Do you have something in mind?
No, I probably want something like, if I'm in the rain, my hair doesn't get wet, even if I don't have an umbrella.
I'm trying to think of like whose power I would want from the current X-Men. Kitty Pryde is pretty dope.
Just walk through walls?
Yeah, how useful would that be?
Yeah, pretty great. Or invisibility then?
Yeah. Also, like, who's the super fast one? The Flash?
That's DC, but there is the Silver
Surfer,
the Lightning guy.
Yeah,
Silver Lightning.
I mean, that would be like pretty handy to be able to just go places really quickly.
Zoop zoop.
It'd be so handy.
Yeah.
You know did you rewatch X2?
No.
You know Pyro though, right?
Yes.
Do you remember in X2 when he's like, "Hey, do you know all those dangerous X-Men they talk about on the TV?
Yeah.
I'm the worst one." And I'm like, "No, you're not.
No, you're
you're
not.
like not. You can't even make fire,
You go to juvie, sir.
bro.
Stop
You
it.
need to carry a lighter." Some of these people can like crush you with their bare hand.
Get your own fire, bitch.
He says that after Wolverine gets shot in the head, and then just Wolverine's like, "Oof, ow." Wolverine, I mean, just the
That's
healing
the
factor.
ultimate
I don't need the
one.
claws. Just the healing factor alone.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, you just want 3 nipples, and that's exactly it.
I want what?
3 nipples?
Does he have 3 nipples?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Very, very Wolverine as part of his transformation. I don't
Yeah.
know if you caught it. There's not as many shirtless scenes here gratis, but maybe the origins is where you might want to do some investigation.
I gotta check out the origins.
You got to get out in the world of the X-23s.
I know one is set in Japan.
Oh, shit. They're all
Hell
about the nips.
I've seen Tokyo Vice.
Hey. Yeah. No, that's good. I was going to say something regenerative too. That would be cool. Just to not have any more organs taken out of me.
I think that with like Jean Grey's the interest I have in like the idea that she's unstoppable. I think that that's kind of something they missed in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Was that like Apocalypse is so powerful. There's this kind of like, what do you even do with this guy?
I know.
And they're just kind of like, I don't know, you shoot him. I don't know. I don't actually know how they've solved Apocalypse. I don't remember because that movie was not
Sick.
good.
Oh.
But also like I only saw it one time and I haven't, funnily enough, I haven't like been like, oh, I got to rewatch X-Men Apocalypse. But it is kind of like, well, but you're missing the philosophical interest of a character who is the literal apocalypse, you know. It's
I have a list of my top 5s
let's get into it.
for the X-Men 3, and it's specifically a top 5 grandpas of all time. And in honor. Why are you smirking? This is a serious list.
I just didn't know you were going to bust out something so serious and close to your heart.
Come on. You know how I feel about really, really old men who always smile. So, number 5, obviously, Magneto. Cutest little cutie pie in his little cute hat.
Yeah.
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 I have no doubt that he would be gentle and loving as long as you're not a human. So I'm going to try to be as much of a lizard as I can around Grandpa M.
Okay.
Number 5.
Yep.
Number 4, Saruman. He's a good grandpa.
Not a happy grandpa.
Yeah, but he's a cutie.
You can tell though, looking at Saruman, that guy never fucked.
No.
He did not have children. Why do you think he was so obsessed with creating those beasts from the earth?
Yeah.
Because he was just like, he was probably sterile and just kind of like, ugh, I'm never getting this dick wet in Mordor.
He's just super into Legos, man.
There's no woman around for.
That's right. He's the
fucking 500.
engineering grandpa. He's the grandpa who teach you to do math, and if you get it wrong, hits you on the head.
It's very Silicon Valley-esque.
That's right.
Yeah.
He would be a character building grandpa, and we need that in our life. They can't all be sweeties. Be real.
I think that you're missing the whole thing that to be a grandpa, you have to fuck. At least one time.
None of my grandpas ever fuck. That's how I like them.
And then they're not grandpas.
Hey,
They're
you stop
just
it.
old men.
Don't take it out of me. That's how I like all my old men. Sterile, gentle, probably a little streak of bad boy in them.
Evil. Yeah.
Yes.
A little danger.
A little danger. Mix it up. Gam gam. In the same vein, number 3, Gandalf. Because come on, firecrackers, cool hat, sick beard. He's got
Yeah.
it all going for him.
Dangerous.
In my favorite color of all time, just dressed in gray.
Yeah.
Love my guy.
You can speak the black speech.
And now you're making it sexy. Don't do that.
It's like when you speak Tamil.
Oh, that's your black speech.
Oof. Yeah.
It's a bit of brown speech. I was like, okay, get it right. No.
For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, the black speech is what it's called in Lord of the Rings, okay? It's does not reference a racial thing on Earth.
Too late. You're canceled. Already on blast on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we're down to number 2, right? So number 2, Grandpa from the movie Up, that animated movie.
Yeah, I can tell how important he is to you because you don't remember his name.
He's Grandpa.
Okay.
Okay. And now, just to, show respect, I will hum the tune for the movie. No, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, Grandpa from Up, because he's got all the sick balloons and homeowner. Cha-ching.
Never seen Up.
Yeah, you're going to miss out, but I'll send you his photo. He's cute.
I know what he looks like. I'm not going to watch it.
And now, number one grandpa in all the grandpa franchises. Okay, and this is not for the haters. Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Do you remember Grandpa Joe?
Definitely fucked. Yeah, stayed in bed
Yeah.
until he did a little dance.
That's
I'm
right.
referencing the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate
Yes.
Factory. So I've only seen the old one once,
Mhm.
but he does a little dance. Yeah, it's cute.
100%.
Oh, and then he takes him on the tour, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Is it him or is it his dad?
It's
No, it's
him.
Grandpa because
It's
he
the
used to work
grandpa.
there. Yeah, right.
And the little dance,
Yeah, adorable.
perfect. See, now he should have been an X-Men. No de-aging, nothing.
Yeah.
One look, and Famke Janssen's Jean would have been like, "Oh, Grandpa Joe." Yeah, I got it. No more Phoenix.
She would have whipped his belt off
She
like
would-
she did to Loki with her mind.
No. She
Yeah.
would simmer the fuck down. She would get it under control.
Yeah, she had a nice cup
Yeah.
of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wouldn't burn a house
So
down like
you
a
didn't think
bitch.
of top 5 things about this movie or 5 things about this film, just grandpas of all time.
Yeah, because this movie has two of the greatest grandpas of cinematic history.
Yeah, true. McKellen, during that time, he was really fucking hitting home runs, man.
Hell yeah.
2 massive franchises.
Incredible. Both masterpieces. Oh, some more than others, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Ex masterpieces.
Is there anything
Yeah.
else to say about this bad boy?
Hey, I know there's a couple of deleted scenes in the film, especially for our girl Halle Berry, which actually showcased some of her powers in a non-goofy way. There's one where she summons an incredible 100-foot tidal wave. There's all this incredible like power display of Bobby, the Iceman, freezing one of the mutants who's called Fat, but Phat, who's a beast, right? He's a creature, but he fully freezes him in motion. You don't get to see any of that because they were like, you know what? We're going to keep this movie goofy as hell where only 2 people do all the work and then everybody else just dies. You know what I thought about that when Rogue goes and gets her powers removed just so she can touch Bobby
Oh, yeah,
again?
plot point. She does end up doing it, too. She gets her powers removed
That's
to
right.
touch him.
Because ultimately, which I thought was very good because she chose to be human. Great. So it gave her some redeeming character. She did that. And then what if Bobby was just like, yo, I'm out with Kitty
And
Pryde.
still more on into Kitty Pryde.
I'm out of here. Which is okay because she can just go, you know, lay her non-murdery hands on someone else.
Do you think... I think Rogue would be like, all right, because now I can touch anyone.
Then Rogue was like, you know what? I'm a vampire now. Fuck all you bitches.
No,
So what?
Rogue would be like, what if Rogue got rid of her powers, then they were with Bobby, and then they like did it for the first time, and
Yeah.
Rogue was like, nah, not for me, and then
Nah.
I'm gonna go touch someone else. Yeah.
All of this
Yeah.
power. Get it, Rogue. You deserve it, girl.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I liked it less than I even thought I would, but
Wow.
there's the seeds of an okay film in there, you know, and it's just not
I know.
there,
It's
yeah.
my whole body just disagrees so aggressively. Nah, man. Sorry, Rat Pack. Do better.
Yeah, but you know what? He went on to have a great, fulfilling career. So,
Yeah, that's right.
you know, he's probably laughing his way to the bank right now.
Ah, classic. No consequences, my guy. Yeah. Here's Juggy.
Well, on that note, let's wrap this bad boy up.
There you go.
X3, The Last Stand. Never watching this film again.
No. Goodbye.
Bye.